Caregiving.
There are only 4 kinds of people in the world: those who have been caregivers, those who currently are caregivers, those who will be caregivers, and those who will need caregivers. Caregiving for someone with physical disabilities or dementia is extremely difficult and can be overwhelming. Many older adults care for their spouse, children, and even grandchildren. Those who are caregivers are the unsung heroes. As you'll hear from Nancy Croft, it is vitally important for caregivers to also receive care and support for themselves.
80% of all long-term care is provided by informal care providers, those people who are family, close friends, and neighbors. Quite the opposite of a common myth of aging, families do not abandon older family members. In fact, they go to extraordinary lengths to provide resources and support. We know that the impact of caregiving has both positive and challenging components. There are rewards, such as having a close relationship with an older person and appreciating the resilience that older adults demonstrate, even when they are very frail. However, caregiving also has many challenges. The physical demands include helping with an older adult's activities of daily living, such as bathing and dressing, or instrumental activities of daily living, such as shopping, preparing meals, in addition to running errands, paying bills, or simply worrying about someone's well-being. Caregivers may suffer from fatigue, lack of sleep, and musculoskeletal problems. In addition, caregivers may also experience mental health problems. Overall, care provision can impact caregivers' functioning in a variety of ways. It is important to remember that some caregivers provide assistance for a number of years, as in the case of dementia, where an older adult may live for years with the diagnosis and related cognitive, social, and physical changes. However, older adults are not just care recipients. Significant numbers of older adults hold caregiving roles in later life and provide assistance to younger generations. One type is where a parent continues in a caregiving role well past the expected time frame. For example, where a parent continues to care for an adult son or daughter with a lifelong disability such as mental retardation. A second example is where a parent resumes caregiving because of an adult's onset condition such as HIV, AIDS, or schizophrenia. Another caregiving role that I want to discuss is where a grandparent becomes the primary caregiver for one or more grandchildren. These skip generation families increased significantly in the mid-1990s due to the increased addiction and incarceration rates of women of childbearing years. The 2000 census was the first time that these families were counted, and we estimate that about 10% of all grandparents will have primary responsibility to raise a grandchild for 6 months or more at some point in their life. The South has a higher percentage of grandparent caregivers. Here in Georgia, 2.4% of the 60-plus population is raising a grandchild as compared to 1.6% for the nation. So, the demographics of an aging population have many consequences for families. A critical one is care provision, as this role has numerous consequences for the caregiver and other family members. However, it is also important to note that substantial numbers of older adults provide assistance and support to younger family members. As the number of older adults increases in coming decades, these issues will challenge families and need to be considered in providing health and mental health services in gerontology.
And here's a little reminder. Caregiving is challenging and caregivers can feel isolated. Support your local caregiver. If you have friends or family members who are caregivers, be sure to let them know you are thinking of them by dropping them a note or calling to see how they are doing. Better yet, offer to come over and sit with the person receiving care to provide the caregiver with a little break to take a rest or a walk around the block. Bringing a meal or picking up groceries can be a big help as well.
They moved to Atlanta some years ago, about 9 years ago, to be closer to us. And we didn't realize we were going to be caregivers at the time. Now, right now, my father-in-law is 97, my mother-in-law is 91, and over the years, for the last about 9-10 years, we have been caregivers more and more. We got into the role slowly, so we didn't really realize that we were the caregivers. We are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are a lot of challenges to being a caregiver. Maybe not by order of importance, but number one is money. It takes money to be able to do a good job, and that is a problem, and it could be a problem for people that don't have the resources. Number two, the time constraint. You are always on call. So we go on vacation someplace, my wife has the cellular telephone on at all times to make sure that we can get a call and do something. So the time is a problem also, and those are the major problems really. The time involved, also the physical capabilities of my wife if she goes to help. She is a small woman, and it is very difficult if she has to go and help somebody get up or sit down, or that's difficult on her. So have to be aware of the capabilities. Sometimes she thinks she can do it, and then the next day she has pains all over.
Being respectful to that person, allowing them to still make decisions, because she says on a regular basis, "Do you all forget that I am the mother?" And that's a message, and it's pretty profound. It's saying, I need for you to still see me as a grown-up. I need for you to see me as the mother. I need for you to see me as an authority figure. I need for you to see me as someone who still has wisdom and can give advice. And I want you to see me as your mother. My mother is receiving things differently when we negotiated with her, rather than to give her demands and tell her that she has to do things a certain way. So I talked to her and I said, we talked about the car, and she said, "I'm not putting my car down. I am going to drive my car until I can't put one leg in the car." And so I didn't argue with her, and I said, "Okay, let's negotiate this. I will not say anything to you about your car, and I will talk to my sisters about not saying anything to you about your car. But I want you to promise me that when you get to the point where you know it's time to put the keys on the table, that's what you will do." She said, "I won't do that. I won't. I'll agree to do that, but I won't put my keys on the table because I know I can drive and I can do." Okay, we're not going to argue about it. You tell me when you're ready to put the keys on the table. She had the next week she had a little bump up with the car, and she called me up and she said, "The keys are on the table." And I think because she was able to say the keys are on the table, it was better for her than for us to insist that she put the keys on the table.
See, Dad just voluntarily gave up his driver's license. I think it was 85, a cute story. He gave up his driver's license and told folks that, he had accepted the fact that he was not going to drive anymore. He didn't renew them on his 85th birthday, and so he just gave them up. A week later, they caught him out at the mall on the tractor. You don't have to have a driver's license to take a tractor.